Saturday at Reliance Stadium in Houston. It's Rick Perry's Prayer-a-Palooza Pray-tacular. See Rick Perry's gas-guzzling Godmobile take on the half-tank, half-truck Beast of the Apocalypse. See America's top mega-church preachers in a Call to Christ cage match. Plus, Marcus Bachman's salute to the first ladies of Broadway with music from Stigmata, The Oak Ridge Boy, and the Christian comedy of Jeff Dunham and Judas. Potential special guest, everyone's favorite savior, Jesus. Salvation for the adults, free snakes for the kids. Rick Perry's Prayer-a-Palooza Pray-tacular. Be there or America goes to hell.
Hey everyone, August 11th, 2011. This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken, where we have Jason.
Hello.
And Bob.
How's it going?
And as you may know, the response just happened a couple days ago. We've been harping on this for a while. I even tried to go there. So
we're harpies.
I unfortunately couldn't watch all of it. But Jason watched it beginning to end.
And I loved it.
He's taking one for the team.
Yeah, he's definitely taking one for the team.
Well, I think I've crossed over.
So, why don't you walk us through what you saw, Jason?
Okay. Well, it started 10 a.m. our time.
Uh-huh.
It was in Texas, but it was 10 a.m. Eastern time here, 9 a.m. there. And it was interesting. It started off with a Christian rock band kind of pumping the crowd, getting them ready as people poured in. It was nice. A lot of people.
It was nice. I was moved.
Yeah. A lot of songs about Jesus. And then when the event started, it was more song. A lot of singing. A lot of crying. More singing. More crying. And then somebody would get up and give a sermon and cry during the sermon, or somebody would cry because of the sermon. Then they would sing. Then they would break off in groups and pray and cry. And then they would sing some more, cry some more, sing, and it was over.
Sounds like a lot of crying.
And it was over at like 5 p.m.
Wow.
That's exactly.
7 hours.
I mean, that is in the nutshell what happened. So if you want to get to the guts of it, I mean, there's a lot of chanting of Jesus. There's a point in the video or the live stream that it was funny because the people on stage were going Jesus, 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 and you're singing it, and the crowd would go Jesus, but nobody was in sync. So it was like this echoey kind of. Like I'm on acid, but Jesus.
Jesus cacophony.
It was really. It was
somebody's
really
gonna use that in like the next Exorcist.
Yeah, probably.
That sound is they're gonna mix it up, and it's gonna be the voice of Damien.
Yeah, but I mean that was it in a nutshell. I mean, just on face value, but overall, it was. I was really impressed with the amount of intelligence, thought, and planning done behind this event. I mean, I joined Billy Graham's church because of it. Okay,
sarcasm doesn't work with you because I believe it, man. You're just like saying something. I'm like, really?
Really? You're just like,
you got sincerity down. I'm like, oh shit, man, they got him.
No, I didn't go anywhere.
You know, I think when you were talking about all the singing,
Yeah.
like all those Christian rock bands, I think it's an interesting observation that the lyrics are maybe like 4 or 5 words just repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I caught that like the last song that like took them out. It was, you know, some douchey Christian rock band, and the words were, Jesus, we exalt you.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the song. And then they just said it over and over and over and over.
And they did it for like an hour. It wasn't like they did it for like a normal song. An average song that you listen to on the radio is roughly 2 minutes, give or take. That's how long a normal song is. They did this for hours.
Like, yeah, and now granted, the guy singing, he had a nice voice.
Yeah.
He had some singing talent. I'm sure that he's a talented guy, but he just kept repeating those 5 words, and everybody had those glassy-eyed stares with their hands in the air, and I was looking for rattlesnakes, but I didn't see any, and I don't know, it was just weird. And you said it was, what did you call it?
It was cult-like.
Cult-like chanting.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
and-
that's what it seemed like to me, too.
I mean, it's what they do at a Slayer concert. I mean, it's the same thing. But so what happened? What happened at the event was that the system, the way it was organized, it was that you would have a time of worship, which was the singing. That's all it was. The worship was singing. That's it. And then you would have a person come on stage, and anybody who came on stage that talked was limited to 7 minutes. And what they would do is come out for that 7 minutes and talk about a single issue. And then after they would talk about this issue, they would tell everybody in the auditorium to break off into groups and pray about this thing that
Who
they
can
talked
talk
about.
a single issue in 7 minutes?
Well, no, they did really good because the songs followed it up and made it longer.
Okay.
Because, for example, the first thing that they talked about, the first thing that they broke off into prayer about, first thing they did the 7 minute chanting or the sermon was about ending abortion. And I mean, I think everybody wants to end abortion, but there's different levels of why you want to end abortion. You don't want to end it just anyway.
Yeah.
Not to get into that, but they want to end it right now, straight up. So we had a guy come up and talk about abortion, and talked about how God needs to say, end abortion. And then they had like a line of children and girls and guys come up, and they would pray in the microphone and say, God, please end abortion. This many people die every year. Please end abortion. Please end abortion. And then they go, okay, we want you to break off in your prayer groups and pray to God to tell God to end abortion. And while you do that, the house band is going to sing a song about abortion. And the lyrics were, God, please, pretty much, God, please stop abortion. And so it was like this snowball effect. It was just like everybody was crying and people holding their hands up in the air in the crowd going, stop abortion! Stop abortion! And it was crazy. So that was the first thing. And then they would break off and say, we need to bring back the 10 Commandments in school and bring prayer into school. We need to pray. What we need to do is we need to break off into a circle, and we all need to pray to these schools. Whatever school that you're near that you know that it doesn't allow this to happen, say their name out loud and pray to have them change it. And then the other thing was that a guy came on stage, was saying that there's no other religions other than, or God other than Jesus. And then another guy came on stage and talked about how he, referring to God, defines marriage, but they didn't go any further than saying that he defines marriage, which is obviously a jab too. And then we had a really awesome moment closer to the end where it reminded me of Jesus Camp. If you took that kid that was if you saw the documentary Jesus Camp, there's a kid with a mullet that was the figurehead of the film, pretty much. And if you cut off his mullet and threw him in this environment on the stage, this is who he was. He
was that kid.
It may have been.
Kid with a haircut.
So he got up and it was very awesome.
So this is why I think the whole thing was so fucking stupid, right? here you are, you're going to have, hey, let's have a big summit, and we're going to try and discuss the problems that are plaguing America. And let's just throw out the fact that you're going to try and solve it with prayer, right? All right, here's the things that are fucking up the country. Let's try and fix things like education and class disparity and poverty, and we'll talk about like sustainable systems and agriculture and jobs. No. Instead, it becomes marriage, 10 Commandments, prayer in school, and abortion. Like, those are the things that are fucking up the that's why there's the Dow plunged, however many.
Well, no, they went into detail about why these issues were fucking up America, because they were saying the reason kids are evil and are the most. There's one of the quotes were something like, "This generation has more evil ingrained in it than any other generation before, and it's because 10 Commandments have been removed from school, and there's no longer you don't pray in school." And to go back to why they did this to solve the problems, because throughout history, and this is what they said at the event, throughout history, mass prayer sessions, mass big ones, have changed the world. They've existed throughout the world. And a guy on stage said, "We defeated the Nazis because of mass prayer." He said because that people got together and did a mass prayer during that time was it allowed God to let the boats come over from the U.S. and fight off and win the war.
How ridiculous is that? Like, how ridiculous?
Well,
let's think for a second. Like, this is a classic case of
post ergo propter hoc.
Exactly. Like, and I mean, it's definitely special pleading, because let's not forget that Hitler himself was a Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
And
but he didn't pray. He didn't pray.
He didn't pray.
Yeah, right. A majority of the German troops, even regardless of what Hitler was, majority of the German troops were Roman Catholics or Lutherans. So this is God favoring one group over another. It's so ridiculous. It's just a classic misunderstanding of history, as well as their own.
But here's the thing: haven't people actually done studies of intercession? What do they call it? Intercessory prayer. Intercessory prayer, and all the data shows that not only does it not work, but people do worse.
Yeah, in studies have shown that the groups, I believe, were those not being prayed for, those being prayed for and didn't know it, and those who were being prayed for and knew it.
Right. And if you were being prayed for and you knew it, you did worse.
Did worse in your recovery.
And what was the study was with like heart patients or something. Their outcome was worse.
It was like, it was coronary patients.
I mean, okay, all right. We don't have any data on how prayer worked on the, like landing the boats in the Normandy invasion, but we do have data for heart patients and intercessory prayer. Yeah, I know, right? we can't storm the beaches in Normandy.
Well, I mean, the beaches wouldn't be stormed. Well, they wouldn't do it.
But to say that you won because you prayed after the fact that you won, that's a logical fallacy called post ergo propter hoc. Therefore,
this being that because.
Yeah, this being that because we won. How'd we win? Well, we prayed. How do you know we prayed? Because we won.
Yeah, it's it's annoying. It's also it's post hoc ergo propter hoc. It's special pleading, and it's confirmation bias.
Argument from final consequences too.
Not really. No.
I love playing logical fallacy bingo.
Yeah. Oh, it's excellent. It's definitely a trifecta, because you definitely have confirmation bias. People were obviously praying because it's a time of war. People pray in time of war. And there's a lot of religious people in the country. They're going to pray. So we won, therefore it must be this.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like individuals praying. It wasn't individuals praying. They said that they got together as a group.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know
like
what?
A circle jerk.
I mean, people in Germany probably got together and prayed too. But you're ignoring the misses and just, you're recording the hits.
We'll talk about
God.
that in a little bit on, because that's actually a pretty good segue into what we want to talk about for the second half of the show. But I think one of the craziest things. One, I was looking at the information sheet that came out with the response stuff when we were planning on going, and they say all over it that it was free to get in, right? Open to everybody, free to get in, right? It was free. They said it was free. They said it was goddamn free.
They didn't say
Parking was
goddamn.
$15. Parking was $15 and they had people there selling hot dogs and pretzels too. Even though everybody was supposed
No,
to
that was the thing at the beginning of the event. Guy got on stage and said, "Today is the day of prayer and fast, but I want you to do what God wants you to do. And if you're hungry, it's all right. You can eat. We have vendors." And he points throughout the venue. He goes, "We have vendors here if you're hungry. So get something to drink, get something to eat. But what you won't see here, what you will not see here is merchandise. We're not selling T-shirts. We're not selling, He goes, "But we have vendors."
Those are outside the
Vendors. Oh, but you have vendors. I mean, that's the thing. Like,
A day
have
of
you
prayer
guys
and
seen
fa-
Death to Smoochie?
Yeah.
Remember, like, when they're getting all upset about the Smoochie on ice, and they got the vendors, and he doesn't want vendors there. He doesn't want like soda or anything like that. And they're like, "That's where we make our money."
Yeah.
Well, that's the same of any. You can take any club that have live bands that sell alcohol. They don't make their money off having the band there. They make the money off of
bar.
selling the drinks.
Well, how many times have you been to a concert and spent $25 on a cheese ball T-shirt, and you feel like an asshole doing it, but you do it. You do it anyway, man.
You go to huge like outdoor fests,
And I didn't
stuff.
pay $15 to park to go see that show.
You go to the huge outdoor fest. Go to Warp Tour, Mayhem Fest, or Taste of Chaos. All these big tours. Water's like $4.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know?
Oh, they got you.
Oh.
They got you by the short and curly.
Especially for like
But the
things
thing
like Warp
is,
Tour. It's
I think
100 degrees outside.
All right, even if the water's $4, which I'm sure they did at Reliance Stadium, and even if it was free to get in, I've never been any place where parking was $15 goddamn dollars. $15.
Well, that's not uncommon for stadiums, though. I mean,
I
even
think that's a little steep.
I don't know. Even when we were on tour with Warp Tour and stuff, parking was pretty expensive.
Yeah, parking for the big events is usually expensive. Not $15, but I mean like
It was
between
$10.
5 and 10. 15's a little high, but
15's a
still.
A little high, yeah, it's pretty steep, but it's also
Especially for a
Texas.
free event.
But but okay, I can understand why it's $15 now. Coming to think of it, because the day before and the day after was Hunter's Extravaganza.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another sort of odd aspect
Yeah.
of this whole thing. That with the response was the 6th. You got a picture you should throw up.
Throw it up there.
The response was the 6th, and then Hunter's Extravaganza, which I'm assuming, and I don't know, we should check it out, but I'm assuming that that's a gun and knife show.
Oh, you know it is.
Oh yeah.
Was the 5th and the 7th.
The day before and the day after.
And don't forget, when you're done praying for the country,
Go get your gun.
Go get
and
your
Buy a
gun
gun.
and
that'd be funny if somebody's
you
like,
know, honor God's creation by killing.
no. They're not even talking about that. They're saying we want to end abortions. There's the guns. There's the clinic.
That's scary.
I mean, because just right before this event, there was a
just talk
Molotov
about the
cocktail
abortion thing really quick because
Sure.
I love how like it's an interesting point that I've been working my way through Dr. Price's pre-Nicene New Testament. If the New Testament had been formed a different way, if they included, say, the apocalypse of Peter, the pro-life crowd would have had a great boon on their side. But abortion is almost never talked about. It's not talked about in the New Testament at all. And the only reference I can think of to abortion in the whole book is Numbers 5:11 through 31, which is a prescription for inducing abortion in a woman who's been unfaithful to her husband.
So what are you saying?
The Bible is pro-choice.
And well,
I think that's just liberal media bias.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's the name of the pericope is concerning an unfaithful wife, and it's if a woman's been unfaithful to her husband or the husband believes she has. What they do is they go to the synagogue or the temple, and the priest puts some dust from the floor into some water, and this water of bitterness, and the woman drinks it. And if she's been unfaithful, then it says her thigh will fall away. And a thigh it's a euphemism, just like it's commonly a euphemism for like a man's member, for the same thing in a woman, and as it'll induce an abortion essentially.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I just want to go back real quick. The Hunter's Extravaganza has nothing to do with hunting for survival. It's sponsored by the TTHA, which is the Texas Trophy Hunters Association. So these are people who go out and hunt just for
sport,
for trophies, not for survival or for anything honorable or with integrity. There's people who like to kill and show off, like any serial killer would. So that's what was the day before and the day after. So I guess it makes sense to have a moment of goodness in between it.
Yeah, right.
My take on the abortion issue is that and that's why I like that the pro-abortion side, they're not like, hey, we're pro-abortion. No, that's an unfair assessment. They're pro-choice, and I think that's a really good characterization of their side of the argument. They're pro-choice, making the choices, because it's none of my business to say what someone else can and can't do with their bodies. Right? That's
no, you said last night.
Moreover than that, I mean, like you're getting
and
to the
whether
point
it's
that
in the Bible or not, it doesn't matter. It's not up for me to say. I can't decide for someone else. That might not be a decision I would make, but it's still in my power to make that decision.
What you're saying is it's a nuanced aspect.
but I think that the pro-life movement, I think that is an unfair or a that's almost a misnomer. They should be their movement should be called anti-choice.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely anti-choice. They're not pro-life.
No, they're anti-choice.
They're pro-life for an unborn
fetuses. Exactly. It's a point like,
but
that's
not really,
been made.
because the like miscarriages happen all the time. If they're really pro-life, why are they not encouraging people to have more and more kids and encouraging women, I don't know, to not have miscarriages, which they have no say over anyway.
But they are encouraging people to have more kids because they don't want condoms in school. They don't want sexual education in school. They don't want anything that's going to possibly give the person the idea that there are ways around of producing a baby.
Still anti-choice.
Yes, actually, that ties into what I was reading about the Planned Parenthood in Texas that got firebombed. Let's see if I can't find it.
Find it.
I don't know, but and again, if you're gonna have a summit to discuss the problems that are the economic problems that are going on in this country, abortion's not one of them.
No.
Well, they never said that they were going to discuss the problems. They just said they're going to ask God to fix these problems.
Yeah, if anything, I would say abortion is a symptom. But have you read Freakonomics?
No.
There's a very good case in Freakonomics about, and it's in the movie as well. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty neat. But what is the country? There was like a country that was a developing nation, and they wanted to increase their workforce. And so there was literally like fertility police. Like if a woman wasn't pregnant or having a kid, like she was fined. And so an abortion was utterly illegal. And so what happened was this nation had lots and lots of really unwanted pregnancies. And then by the time those kids got to be like 18, 19, and 20, the whole country suffered this massive spike in crime. And they're still fighting with it. I wish I could remember the name of the country. And so then they looked at the United States and places around the United States where abortion was legal and where it was easily accessible. After that legislation had been implemented, sometime later, those places had a drastic decrease in crime. And what they're saying is that if women can
Babies commit
control their
crime.
reproduction and have a choice in the matter, and they can decide when they want to have kids, it has a social impact that's far-reaching and
But
tangible.
yeah,
Because lower birth rates equal a lower division of resources, which
But it's not just lower birth rates, because those women ultimately did go on to have children. They just had children when they decided to, when they were secure in their careers and secure in their homes.
but, I mean,
it was a wanted pregnancy, a planned pregnancy, not an unwanted pregnancy.
yeah. But
plan-
if you have wanted and unwanted pregnancy at the same time, you have a spike in birth rates. If you look at the birth rates around the U.S., areas where abortion is illegal or not easily accessible, those places typically have higher birth rates than places like New England, or where you can get an abortion easily. And I mean, like I said, lower division of resources, which equals out to lower chance of crime, because typically poverty is less. It's all social.
Yeah.
You know, there are sociological underpinnings to the whole thing.
So, not to change the subject, just to
change it.
Yeah.
But I thought the most surreal aspect of the whole response thing was that the Westboro Baptist Church showed up outside of Reliance Stadium,
Yeah.
and they were protesting the Rick Perry's The Response. Westboro Baptist Church. I don't remember how many people there were, but you know, they were doing the same things, holding up giant signs, or one guy holding up 5 signs. So it was probably, if it looked like 50 people, it was probably 10.
Yeah,
What is
right.
it?
Because they all have like
But the
4 or
funny
5
thing
signs.
is, I can't believe that they were there protesting the response. I don't know. It just seems like they should be on the same team.
They protest anyone that's not them.
And I guess who was it that said like I guess the American Family Association just doesn't hate fags enough.
Yeah, right.
They don't hate them enough, man.
Yeah. I guess that's a pretty good point, because you're right. It's the AFA, and they're like one of the most like vehement anti-gay groups in the U.S.
Well, they were protesting because they're not walking the walk, is what they're saying. Let me see.
They're just
Not
a bunch of
walking
crazy
the walk.
people.
I mean, they're like one of the most
one of the Phelps said that the Westboro will picket phony prayer political rally. It's too late to pray. And it says, no hopes for my kid you taught to be proud. Oh, I'm not even going to say that. Yeah, they're just saying that we'll picket false prayer. They're just saying it's a false prayer. They're saying it's more of a political rally than it is a call for God.
Those Phelps people are so hateful. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about the Phelps is I don't know if we talked about this before, but before this show and at the very beginning stages of the Zombie Popcorn Netcast, they were in town and I was on the street interviewing
Shirley Phelps Roper.
Shirley
I ran
Phelps,
into
yeah.
you that day.
And
I
he
was
walked by and
walking-
he's like looking at me going, what the?
It was the weirdest, most surreal thing I've ever seen. I didn't even know they were in town. I was just going to the grocery store, walking up the street to the Harris Teeter, and I see a huge mass of people. I was like, what the fuck? And then I see Jason with his microphone and Shirley Phelps Roper's face, and I was like, no fucking way. Yeah.
So one guy on YouTube had a comment about when Westboro Baptist shows up to protest the response. He's like, that means that we live in a world where the Onion is a legitimate newspaper. They
Yeah,
don't have
right.
to make shit up anymore. They
No.
can just report the news as it is.
Yeah.
We live in the Onion world now. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. You have like, talk about like infighting in a group. It's like, you don't hate gays enough, so we're gonna protest you. Like, this is very clearly I mean, not to say it's not a political rally. It's a political rally. Let's not split hairs here. But I mean, it is also like it's it's one of those evangelical Christian rallies. You can't separate the two anymore, like between the Christian right being a political entity and being a religious entity.
Well, this article here about the whole thing says that Governor Perry has to do a better job. So he said, so it's pretty clear that Perry will have to do a better job uniting homophobic bigots and build and build a bigger tent of hate. Because that's what they said. Because they're talking about, since Governor Perry sided with the ARA, but Westboro Baptist Church is protesting them because they're both labeled anti-gay hate groups on Southern Poverty Law. He's just saying that this guy needs to.
I think that's the only thing. That's got to be the reason that the American Family Association just doesn't hate gays enough.
Maybe the Westboro Baptist Church is just upset that someone's stepping on their feet. Like they're like, no, hey, this is our business.
This is our trademark.
Yeah, that's what we do. You guys are just posers.
Oh, is that a video?
Yeah, what? I don't know, man.
Anti-gay posers.
You're not hateful enough.
Yeah, right. We hated gays before it was cool. I
Poser.
God, these people, like, it hurts my brain. It really does. Like, when I think about the Westboro Baptist Church, it actually, like, it hurts my brain to think about, because I don't know what to think anymore. Like, part of me wants to, like, I want to think that it's all a farce, that they sit at home when no one's looking and they're like, oh man, we got him good, and then, like, you know, they go feed the homeless or something. Because I don't understand how someone can actually be legitimately that hateful.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
It's pretty easy.
They're really bad. They're really bad. But, you know, I don't know, man. But did you notice, I think you pointed out to me that many of the people on the stage that you see featured in the video footage from the response, they were the people that were in the video that are part of Rick Perry's, they're his aides and assistants.
Well, they're directors and assistants and of the ARA.
So the people you see in that video, that really slick video where it's like, you know,
I want my daddy to love me.
Yeah, all of those people are all
me.
over the place at the response. They're on camera more than, you know, John Q. Public, because those guys are. What did you say? You saw a lot of camouflage out in the audience.
There was a guy fully decked out in camo. But there was, I mean, but it's Texas though. Saying that there was a lot of camo in the audience is not a strange thing. I mean, people wear that. There's camouflage business suits. I mean, so I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of crossover between the two, the Texas Extravaganza and this. But
I'm surprised at the amount of crying.
No, oh my God!
Like it's just.
You could seriously, you know, that I was saying, "Cry me a river." You could seriously have a river from.
Why all the crying?
Well, because they haven't eaten all day.
Yeah, right.
And they paid $15 for parking.
Well, it's just really weird. I mean, because if you took out the concession stands, the fact that they have concession stands, whatever. But if you took that out, and how many hours was this? This went from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Like 9 hours.
Yeah. And you're told not to eat, drink, or do anything other than come here.
I can't not eat for like 4 hours. Let alone, like, God.
I get angry when I don't eat.
Much every 20 minutes.
Yeah. Metabolism of a hamster over here.
So anytime that you don't eat for long periods of time, and you're constantly repeating the same things over and over and over, that the military does that. That is a form of brainwashing. That is a form of controlling. And I'm not saying that everybody in the crowd didn't eat and didn't have their coffee in the morning or whatever, but it would explain why there was such high emotions in the crowd, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have to look at the other side of it. This is a way of reshaping a
it's
belief.
social cohesion.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. It's you're taking a bunch of people, combining them together, and then putting them all through the same motions. And what it does is it breeds a sort of sense of camaraderie amongst all of them, so that when the speakers get up and start talking, they feel like, yeah, that guy's one of us, and there's an immediate like sense of agreement going on in your head.
While you're crying.
Because you don't, it's just the way, I mean, we're social animals. It's the way we work. Where as soon as you're part of an in-group, it's a lot harder to disagree with those in the in-group.
Yeah, there's a book that I mean to get. I was listening to the guys on another podcast I listened to is Reasonable Doubt, and they were talking about this guy's book. And I'm just shooting from the hip right now, but I should go back and write the name and the author down. But in this guy's book, it was a book about the benefits of organized religion. And in his book and the studies, he shows that there are tangible benefits, but at the end of it, really what it boils down to is it's not the believing, it's the belonging.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're part of a group like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I guess this is how you build that group.
Yeah, you get Emil Durkheim covered it in his work on suicide, where he studied in France the suicide rates between Catholics and Protestants. And what it boiled down to was Catholics have a much tighter-knit social group.
Right.
And their levels of suicide were drastically lower. And he said it's because of that sense of belonging. It's the social cohesion that keeps them together, whereas Protestants, like Protestantism, it was in the 19th century, it is now, is a lot more individualistic than Catholicism. So there's less of a social knit group. It's starting to mince now, where you're getting like these like mega churches and stuff, where you have a church with like 50,000 fucking members all chanting the same thing.
But mega churches have been a common in Texas for a long time.
Yeah, but what I mean is like the latter part of the 20th century and into the 21st century. They didn't have mega churches in, 1860s France.
In Texas, they did.
I'd never been to a mega church like that, and we went to a friend of mine got married in one of, and the wedding was, it was religious, and it was held in one of the mega churches out in Virginia Beach.
They're pretty amazing.
Which probably is a pale comparison to the mega churches of, say, Texas, but it's probably the biggest church in Virginia Beach. And I remember walking around, I was like, wow! Holy shit, where's the basketball court? And
well, the ones in Texas do have basketball courts.
I'm sure they do.
They have their own locker rooms and showers and everything, too.
I know, right? And they have, I'm sure they have, like, daycare centers.
They do.
And shopping malls.
I haven't seen one with a shopping mall, but they do have a little gift area. So.
They just convert Mall of America to a
There is a church that is almost the size of what you would think of a Mall of America in Texas.
That's
what?
Crazy.
Yeah, it's insane huge.
I've been to Mall of America. That shit is huge.
I know.
Like think about the
maybe not that big,
you,
but
you get in there. Like you live your whole life there. It's like someplace you could be every day. You
just because you couldn't find the exit.
Day, for daycare, you go there. You probably have lunch there. You probably go and you could spend your whole day there.
One-stop shop.
Yeah.
Pick up Jesus while you're there,
Well, it's like all these mega churches now. The ones in Texas, the ones that I'm familiar with, they started off as big, massive churches. They have, I worked in a big ass church like that, and that's one of the things that really got me fascinated with broadcasting, because they have all of these mixing boards and professional cameras that swoop in that are computerized and everything, and I was so obsessed with that. And that church just started off as an evangelistic church. Now they've expanded and it's massive. And there's a whole wing where it's an elementary school, and they have another wing that's like a high school. It's like a school within the church, and people go there for school, and they go there for their sports, and they go there, and it's Mecca Center. It's insane. That's pretty awesome.
That's great. And all of that, it's all paid for out of donor money.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know, man. And the product they're selling is salvation.
It's crazy. I mean, it's the same quality as this, but this is, you know.
Yeah, those mega churches are great. I would really like to see the one and like go to the one because the one I saw out in Virginia Beach, it was all inspiring and scary all at the same time.
Oh, they're terrifying.
And I don't even know how I would react to something like that in Texas.
It's such a weird
It's so much bigger because everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, right.
I'm pulling it up.
Protestant churches are weird to me as is. Like I grew up Episcopalian, and my dad's family is all Catholic. So like, whenever we went to church growing up, it was like they weren't big, but they were like stone and like nicely carved wood and like stained glass windows. It was all very like, it was very ornate and like very, what's the word? There was a mythology about the whole thing. It was very like fantastical. But you walk into these mega churches and they're so drab and like bland and like plain, and it's really weird. Like I left the church after I started going to a Baptist church, and it was like plain wood benches and like wood walls and like wood paneling.
Yeah, they do have that sort of drab. I don't know.
The ones in Texas.
Weird.
Because like I'm just showing you there, I showed you the blueprints of this church.
Like, where are the buttresses?
They got this awesome.
I know, right?
Gothic architecture.
I think the.
What are you guys looking at?
The Hills Church of Christ in Richland, Texas.
Richland Hills.
Richland Hills.
North
Richland Hills.
Yeah, this is that church.
Which
I was
is a
telling
big
you.
mega church.
It's awesome. It's insane. I was showing, and this is totally pointless because we're doing radio, but I was showing Bob.
Edit the pictures.
You can edit the pictures in. We do a video broadcast. That's what those cameras are for.
Hi, camera. I'm looking for interns.
This is an opportunity for you to show off your editing skills.
Looking for interns.
Yeah, right. Unpaid position. We do not give college credit.
Yeah. Strong bodies, weak minds.
Anyway. So what I was saying is like I was trying to pull up photos of the outside of this church because this is a massive church, and that's not the same page. And they've this one blog site. It's an architecture website, and they're doing renderings of the new drop-off area and canopy at the Richland Hills Church of Christ. And it's not drab. It looks like it looks like a hotel.
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
does. It
it
looks
has
like a
outdoor
four-star
seating
hotel.
and it's insane. And that's what I was saying. It's just like grown into such insanity.
That's nuts.
Yeah, but I guess I have to copy this so I can put it in the thing. All right, moving on.
Moving on.
I just want to add really quickly before we move on that I found the article that I was reading, and I was right. The Texas Planned Parenthood that was firebombed, like a week or so ago,
Yeah.
didn't even provide abortions. It was all preventative care.
Well, no, so they have
breast and
arguments on
cervical
that.
cancer screenings and birth control.
They have arguments on that because there was an issue just recently when they're like, well, this Planned Parenthood, most of them don't offer abortions,
don't.
but even I think it was in a congressional meeting or something, they were saying, well, they fund it. They redirect people to go to where they can get abortions. They had all this.
That's the stupidest.
Yeah, they had all these
Yeah.
random reasons why Planned Parenthood
That's
has
just
to be.
It's backpedaling and justification for all. Whether they provide abortions or not, throwing a Molotov cocktail in the front door is wrong.
Yeah, you got to use the back door.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
And the fact that it didn't provide abortions just illustrates how misinformed and misdirected those people can be.
Yeah.
And
Or maybe they just hate birth
pathetic.
control too.
Yeah, it's pathetic. Terrible. God, you're making me grumpy again. I'm gonna need another
Sorry.
juice box and a hug.
Sorry.
Getting
I was
all
gonna say
wound up.
I got some of the pictures of the response to the response, and like all the protesters.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good. There's a lady with a rainbow flag and a Tupperware thing of cookies. That's excellent. Another guy with a sign that says, "Proud of Texas, ashamed of Rick Perry." And then a lot of pretty boring pictures. Interesting signs, though. I'm proud of people. I'm proud of the counter-protesters.
Yeah.
I'm always proud of counter-protesters. Well, not always proud of counter-protesters, but it's good. There's a lot of people. It's good.
I just, this is all. It's all fucking stupid.
It's all fucking stupid.
He just sums it up so nicely.
I don't know, man. The whole idea of like, we're gonna pray and fix the problems. I saw a lot of people were like trying to think of like some stupid shit that they could do that would be just as effective as the prayer. And
Take a
I thought
nap.
maybe I'd put on clown makeup or I don't know, put a funny hat on my dog.
Take a nap.
Take a nap, yeah.
Take a nap.
I'm gonna take a nap because it'll be just as effective, and I'll be well rested.
I'll be I'll be well rested for when the economy takes a turn up.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, you know what? I think we've just established a data point here. There was the response on
I
Saturday.
was just thinking the same thing.
What's that?
Monday, Dow takes a head dive.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
Well, no. They didn't pray for financial security.
They were praying for a lot of things, and all those.
But not financial security.
even though that's one of the things that they
They said they were going to do
gonna pray
but they
for.
didn't do it unless I was with a customer at the time because I did watch it at work.
Yeah.
That mass prayer caused the Dow to take a header.
But I wasn't away from the video feed for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So unless they did it like a speed, okay, everybody pray for the money. Okay, thanks, and then moved on.
Yeah.
I don't think they prayed
Now
for the
on to
money.
abortion.
Yeah, let's talk about something important, and then we'll go right back to abortion. I promise
Yeah.
you. We'll be back to abortion and prayer in school and 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
Fuck.
All right. So
So,
we haven't
yeah.
got much time left.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe about another
15 minutes.
15 minutes or so. But I want to jump into this. We've talked about the response, but this is, I love it. I love this story. Like I saw it in the Telegraph, and then you sent out the link to the same article I'd read. The Jesus Loves Nukes.
Oh yeah.
Air
That's
Force
hilarious.
taught the Christian just war theory.
It is pretty awesome.
And I was following it for a while, and I actually found the PowerPoint that they were using to teach it. And it's the Chaplin, Captain Shin Soh.
Well, real quick, send that to me so I can put it up. We can kind of go through the pages where we
Yes,
talk about
here, I will throw it in there right now. There you go.
Yeah, the whole.
The link's up in the doc. Oh,
That's interesting that they would go that route. The guys turning the key in the silos. It's like, well, you got to do it because God wants you to.
it. God wants you to.
We need to. And, the whole just war thing is it. There really is some food for thought there, and it is very subtle and nuanced. Like when you read the Catholic Church put out there's four criteria for the just war, and they're very good criteria. Like there's it's hard to disagree with some of the things that they say. It's just the part that I have a problem with is at the end of the day, it's God wants you to. And back to what we were talking about with the wars, isn't it like in the Old Testament when the Hebrews were fighting the Assyrians, they managed to win because their God was better than your God. Like that's how you won a war in those days. And if you won, it meant you prayed hard enough and your God was better than their God. And if you lost, it means that you didn't pray hard enough and either God is punishing you or he's abandoned you because you didn't pray hard enough. But the fault of the
But the God was
whether you
never
won or lost depended upon your God beating up somebody else.
Well, the Vikings used to make fun of Christians for that, because they used to make fun of Christians after they would sack Christian towns. They would be like, "Your God is a wimp."
Yeah.
like honestly, like Thor just kicked him in the nuts, and he didn't do anything. You know, like if your God was so great, we wouldn't be able to ransack your towns.
Yeah, right. That's a strange thing. So, every time I think about like this just war and these guys, turning the key because God says you should do this. I was in the Navy, and when I was stationed on aircraft carriers, and every night when we were at sea, they would stop everything, and they would have evening prayer. And we used to kind of make fun of it, and it wasn't such a stretch. The prayers were always like, "Dear God, please bless this ship of war, that it may go out and smite thine enemies." And it was almost like I was in the Monty Python and the Holy Grail movie, and they were bringing out the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Yeah, right.
Man.
Thou shalt count to 3, not
It's
5.
like, that it may smite thine enemies into tiny bits in thy mercy.
Yeah.
But that was what it was like every night, man.
Well, let's go back and give more background of what this PDF that you were talking about.
Okay, so this is it's an ethics sort of training course for what is it called? Well, actually, it's called "Who Are You When No One Is Looking? 5 Ethical Principles for Service to the Air Force." And it's these 5 points that they make, but it's nuclear ethics and nuclear warfare. So these are like nuclear missile officers.
Written by Chaplin,
Chaplin Shin Soh. But essentially, like they get into Augustine's just war theory. They use the Visigoths invading Rome as an example of a just war, even though I don't know if I justify that as a just war. The Visigoths were essentially enslaved by the Romans and then rose up and took up arms and sacked Rome.
Well, you know what?
Like, I mean, is he using the, like,
Wait,
Rome
go back.
smiting the shit out of the Visigoths afterwards as just war, or is he saying that the Visigoths were justified in their sacking of Rome?
What is this majority is not always right?
There's a Chrysler
With a
car.
Chrysler on it. What does that mean?
I have to say about this this PowerPoint, it is fucking Bush League.
It's awesome.
This thing, I don't understand why there's a Chrysler. Or is that a Cadillac? That's a Cadillac.
I mean, whatever. It's a car that.
But it's
What does
over.
that car have to do with
It's
anything?
over 2 pictures. Like, there's a picture behind.
Oh, maybe
Oh, maybe during
in the course
yeah.
of the talk, the picture's probably
And we're not getting
animated
that-
in, and we just
Good
have the
call.
final PDF.
Yeah, this is definitely a
Good call.
PDF version,
Good call.
but
But I don't understand what the car has to do with it. But anyway, maybe I should have listened to his talk.
Maybe.
yeah. But the examples
can't
they
just
give
turn it
is
on when it matters.
Abraham organized an army to rescue Lot in Genesis 14. The Judges. If you don't know what the Judges are, in the book of Judges, the Israelites didn't have a king. What they had were essentially like general warlords, essentially, called judges. The fact that David was a warrior who was also a man of God's own heart. Hebrews 11:32-34 uses examples of true faith, those Old Testament believers who engage in war in a righteous way. The Maccabean revolt against, it says Syrian oppressors, but it was, I guess Syrian oppressors works. It was the Seleucid Empire.
So on slide, what is it? 10?
Yeah, it was
12?
10.
On slide 10?
Oh.
No, 12.
No, wait. Yeah. I went the wrong way.
George
on slide
Washington?
12, they have a picture of Jackson, too, and Washington and Chamberlain, right?
Yeah.
And it says kind of person of faith fighting a war. I guess the implication is that those people had faith and they won, but weren't their opponents just as faithful and they lost?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Washington fought against the British. Like, King George, his title was Defender of the Faith.
Yeah, he lost.
He was the head of the Church of England.
He wasn't, but yeah, he wasn't a real Christian. He wasn't a true Christian.
He was considered by Anglicans to be Christ's vicar on earth. Like, you don't get more faithful than that.
Christian just war theory.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is crazy.
Then there's the random slide at slide 24. I think it's like John Stuart Mill. War is an ugly thing.
Yeah, war is ugly.
Well, I think he's right, but
he is right. John Stuart Mill was a smart man.
Here's these. I guess here's where it becomes subtle and nuanced and complex. Right? You can't argue that it was right to intervene in Europe in World War II. It was absolutely the right thing to do.
It was,
but it wasn't about
right.
faith.
No. Yeah. It was the right thing to do in hindsight to intervene in the war in Europe. Did we intervene for Christian reasons?
No, we intervened for humanitarian reasons.
We didn't even intervene for humanitarian reasons. We intervened because it became... It no longer was in the U.S.'s financial interests to stay neutral.
Yeah, I'm sure there's economic reasons too. Maybe I'm painting a prettier picture than it really was, but I like to think it was humanitarian.
We didn't know about the humanitarian reasons for the war in Europe until the war was almost over.
Yeah.
No one found the concentration camps until what, spring of 45?
Yeah, no, you're right about that. We're looking at that in hindsight.
Yeah. But then again, they also have Werner von Braun as the title of the slide, Nuclear Ethics. This is slide 35. Werner von Braun. Werner von Braun. You don't use Nazi rocket scientists to cement your ethical standpoint. You don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the nuclear ethics, just war. It's just, there's a lot to think about. But I think that the proper context is in terms of secularism and humanitarianism and rational thought, not wrapped in faith. I think as soon as you wrap it in faith, you throw reason out the window.
Yeah, no.
And especially we're talking about a question as weighty as nuclear war.
Yeah.
You have to be that has to be addressed in a purely rational humanist fashion. and to wrap it to couch it in faith is a mistake.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh God, please bless this missile that it may
That's what that PowerPoint said.
Smite the non-believers.
that it may smite thine enemies.
Ashes to ashes and dust to dust, literally.
Man, yeah, I always thought that was one of the most one of the funniest bits of the Holy Grail was the holy hand grenade.
Yeah, that was funny.
I know. I'm gonna go home and watch that movie. I haven't,
it was
I
just
haven't
so
watched it in
absurd.
years.
But and yet it happens. We're doing it right now.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I like at the very end.
Hello.
The very end of the slides. It gives the base faith communities, and then the chapel worship services. Their times.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, hey, man, if you ain't right with Jesus, then you can't turn that key.
Any questions?
I just love how it goes into saying that how many people died during Hiroshima and Hiroshima.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing.
And then that slide after it says, "Can you think of a time that we would have to use nuclear weapons?" Yes.
Never again. That was the most horrific point in human history.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Unequivocally. I mean, you're talking about what? Hiroshima was 140,000
Yeah, but
dead.
that wasn't the highest death toll. It was Dresden. The carpet bombings in Dresden that had the highest casualty figures. It exceeded Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined, and it gets overlooked. But we always think of the when they drop the bombs. The argument was made that saved lives ultimately. And I don't know if that's right or not. But that wasn't the most horrible incident or the most horrible cost of human life. Dresden was.
How many people died in Dresden?
I don't know, but it was more than
Was it?
It was, if I remember correctly, it was more than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. But that gets overlooked. Of course, that happened over
Dresden
several
was
days.
huge. Yeah.
It didn't all happen at once. So I don't know how you measure it. But so I guess the point is you can visit equal destruction with conventional weapons as was done with nuclear weapons. But I guess the question, whether it was the right thing to do or not, I don't know. I don't have the answer, and you can hear the arguments from either side. But my point is that you can't wrap it in faith.
Yeah.
Whether it was right or wrong,
even if you can wrap it in faith
Dresden.
and say,
It looks like Dresden. There are a couple numbers. 1945, Nazi regime ordered its press release to publish the death of 200,000 Dresden for the Dresden raids. Some numbers have been given as high as 500,000. But I guess an independent investigation commission by the city council in 2010 reported a maximum of 25,000.
and according to this,
25,000.
25,000.
but according to this,
That's a huge disparity.
Low ball. Yeah. Yeah.
according to this, God is nuke or nuke. What PDF has said that in Hiroshima, that 80,000 were killed instantly, and by 1950, 200,000 people had died.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of how many people died, like the fact that, you have in one instance, one small, tiny instance, one pressing of a button, you have 80,000 people dead.
Yeah.
Done. Like that is, and the nuclear weapons we have today make those look like toys.
Yeah, I agree, but I just don't think that you can have that rational discourse in terms of faith.
Because faith, the hubris of believing that you have the truth, period,
Right.
leads you to do horrific things. All it takes is, that is the ultimate, like stepping stone to saying, us versus them. We have the truth and they don't. And that's all it takes for people to do horrific acts.
Right. That's it's an easy step from throwing a Molotov cocktail at a Planned Parenthood to launching a missile. That guy could do it because God says so.
Well, he's protecting the word of God and God's creation. But anyway, with that said, we should wrap it up.
We should wrap it up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, wrapping it up.
All right. This is a fun episode, though.
It is.
I get excited. We're going into some pretty in-depth stuff.
I'm just gonna go blow up shit.
Yeah. So, what do you think about nuclear war? And we'll put up links to the PDF for the nuclear ethics PowerPoint and all the sorts of stuff that we just talked about. But, give us your feedback. You can always give us a call, 757-337-2195. You can email us, nonreligious@zombie-popcorn.com. And like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thisnonreligiouslife. And we have our own iTunes feed.
Go write a review on iTunes.
Yeah.
Do it.
Review us on iTunes. All the links will be up in the show notes.
You can talk about my beard some more.
Yeah, right. It's been trimmed up. It's a different beard.
I was going for Klingon. That was
Nice.
what I said. I was like,
Oh no, I think
you
you
look like a Klingon.
I think you trimmed it up because that one guy always leaves comments about your beard.
well, right. I wanted to change it up a little bit, and like I said, the look I was going for was Klingon.
Very nice.
Let's
All
see
I
if
need
he
is that
approves.
appliance on my forehead.
That was totally added in, like, the revamp of the series and Next Generation. Because the original Klingons didn't look like that.
Yeah, do you know some guy?
You
I
wanna
made,
nerd out for
I
a
made that
second?
Whoa,
observation
nerds!
and-
This
and,
show is wrapping up. That's another topic.
Some dude provided a rationalization for that, which had
God.
something to do with human Klingon hybrids or something. I don't know.
Biblical harmonization
Yeah,
happens in all Bibles.
yeah, right.
All right, so that's it for this week. So I guess we'll see you again next week.
Don't nuke anybody until next week.
Don't nuke anybody.
Bye bye.
This guy out here,
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on the cross. I go to church every Sunday. This guy out here. Then I read that it says Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I am a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion.